Do you ever feel like there's two versions of yourself whenever you're trying to improve your life? There's the version of you that actually, wants to go to the gym, eat healthy, get fit, stop doom scrolling, achieve your goals. And then there's the version of you that wants to lay in bed, smoke, not really put in the hard work, just kind of lay around, hang out, same old bad habits. That's because there actually is two versions of you. And that's why you have to kill your old self in order to become reborn. This is what happens when a boy becomes a man, whenever someone changes their life. It happens to criminals, it happens to people that break addictions, people that have life-changing experiences. Sometimes you need that trauma for that to happen. There's so much damage to your old self that it ends up dying off and you end up becoming a completely new person. So this can happen by accident, but it can also happen if you manifest it and you put in the work and discipline for it. So the new you is the version of you that's becoming born, right? So it's what you see in your mind, the guy that goes to the gym, the guy that's rich, successful, that accomplishes his goals, all the goals that you see in your mind, because you can still be lazy and be down in the gutter and still see in your mind what you want to become. A lot of people, we dream all day about the things that we could have. Like, for example, you could dream about the new car that you want to drive in the future. You can dream about that increased money in your bank account. Maybe it's a woman in your life. Maybe you want a super beautiful woman, right? You want to be jacked. You want to have a six-pack, right? You may not have a six-pack, but you can see the version of yourself that wants the six-pack. And then there's the version of you that just wants to keep eating the donuts. That's the current you. That's the old you that's stuck in comfort. You have to get rid of that old version of you in order to move on. So the old you, it's not going to go easy. It's a living personality, and it's a living thing in your mind. So it's going to fight to survive. I'll give you an example. The version of me that used to smoke a lot of weed, for example, I was smoking weed every day for pretty much 3 years, right? It became part of my life. It became completely part of my life. I remember first it started off, I was living with my grandma at the time. It was the first time I bought my own weed. Before that, I would always smoke with my friends or at a party. I would just come into contact with it every now and then, when I would just partake in it randomly, right? So I remember that day smoking it out of a can, a Coke can, that I actually, pressed down. I poked holes in the top. Super bad for you. I was inhaling like aluminum when I lit it up. But anyways, after that day, I remember smoking every day for the next 3 years. About a year or two into it was when I really started to notice that it was becoming like a bad problem, where it started affecting my mental health. But it became so integral, like I needed to wake up, I had to smoke. I had to smoke before I went to bed. Smoking was part of my personality. Oh, I was the stoner, go to parties, hang out with someone. It was always like weed involved. Before I went into work, I had to smoke. So during this time, when my new version was being born, I made a mental decision to quit weed, right? And my old self really didn't want to give that up, right? Your old self is going to trick you into thinking, oh, it's good for you. Oh, it helps you. Music sounds better. You become more creative. It's going to say all these things to stay alive. You will literally mentally trick yourself in order to keep up the same old bad habits. You'll try to cope and say that that you can't quit, that it's impossible. that, it's just part of your personality. And if you don't have weed, you're going to be depressed or something. I'm just using weed as an example. You could use this for anything: video games, alcohol, drugs, bad people in your life, right? There's countless examples I could use. But the point is that you're not going to want to give that stuff up, and you're not going to want to give up your old habits. And you're mentally going to trick yourself in so many different ways to keep those habits around, to the point where you'll literally make a promise to yourself. That's when the new you comes through. It's all of a sudden you'll have a moment of clarity where you're like, no, dude, I want to actually get better. I don't want to eat pizza. I don't want to eat burgers. I want to eat healthy, right? And then you feel really motivated for a little bit. After that, once your motivation kind of dies down, you're hanging out with your friends, and guess what? There's pizza, there's burgers, and donuts. And then all of a sudden, you just your old self creeps back in and says, screw it, just eat it this one time, right? And before you know it, you just broke the promise that one version of you made a promise, and the other version of you broke that promise, right? That's why it feels like there's this constant mental battle going on in your head, because it really is a mental battle. They say that your number one enemy is yourself. And that's completely true, because you can lie to yourself, you can cheat yourself. We treat ourselves worse than we treat other people, which is crazy. You could be like the most honest, nicest person ever, never lie to anybody, never screw anyone over, but you constantly lie to yourself, you constantly screw yourself over, you constantly put yourself in bad situations. That's the old you trying to stay latched on. It doesn't want to go. It's going to use every tool in the toolbox. It's going to play dirty. That's why you have to be disciplined and you have to stay on top of it. The new you has to become strong and overpower the old you. That's literally how it felt. And that's how it's going to feel. It's going to be a battle, and eventually the scales are going to tip in the favor of the new you, and you're going to become reborn. That's like they say, the pheonix is born from the ashes, right? You have to die and crumble before you can be reborn into a new person. So some tips I have for you is obviously listening to other people that have had this happen, people in the self-improvement community. You can read biographies. You can read about people's life-changing things that change people's lives, traumatic experiences. For example, like David Goggins is a good example of someone who transformed his life, from someone who had a really poor life into a really, good life. Essentially, he's a self-help guy. He's helped millions of people. There's countless YouTubers and channels out there that'll tell you their story. But I guess I could tell you a little bit of my story. So yeah, 3 years ago, I used to be a loser. I'll make it short. I was a pot smoker. I was a drinker, video gamer. I was having trouble with girls, I was just not in a good place in life. I wasn't making much money. I was working shit jobs. I was working at Walmart, of all places. I failed college, got kicked out of the military, all sorts of stuff, got kicked out of like a good construction career. I ended up failing a drug test. So I fucked up and I went through a lot of pain before eventually getting to this point. And something that I've read is that a lot of people actually need pain in order to move on and become the new version of them. Sometimes you need pain. I could tell someone this all day. I could tell someone all this stuff, what happened to me. I could tell them like everything I know and why it works, why it's better to do this, do that. But they won't believe you until they get fucked over, until they get a DUI, until they get in legal trouble, right? Until they like lose a bunch of money or wreck their car, or some sort of life crisis happens, someone dies, or they catch a disease. That's when people typically make changes. They have to get burnt first, because people think that we think that we're smarter. We think that that we're the exception, when obviously it's not true. Nobody's the exception. The only exception is the person that's working harder than everyone else. And that's something that anybody can do. But not everybody's going to do it, because it's hard. It's hard to wake up early in the morning. It's hard to put in work day after day. It's hard to stay disciplined. And that's why not everybody is going to do this stuff. This video is not going to resonate with everybody. A lot of people are not going to do this stuff because they're just too comfortable, and they're going to let their old self completely have control of them. So if you want to improve, and I've talked to so many people that want to improve, and I can see the look in their eyes, the newer version of them that wants to become the dominant force, the better version of them wants to do it. Deep in your heart that you want to become better. But a lot of people just lack the strength. They don't believe that they can do it, right? I know guys are like, I can't quit. I need it. Blah, blah, blah. I can't sleep. I need it because I can't sleep. If I don't smoke, I can't sleep. Sometimes you got to put yourself through the roughness, man. Like, yeah, you quit something, you're going to be feeling withdrawals. That's the price you have to pay to get better. But once you get through that battle, that mental battle, and you get to the other side, you're going to be rewarded with the spoils of battle. Think about every battle in history, You got to fight before you see the benefits. Before you capture the other king, you got to fight him. And it's not going to be easy. They're not just going to roll over and let you win the battle. You got to fight before you get that treasure chest or that goal. You start a business, you're going to have to fight. You're going to have to fight to get clients, to learn, to fight against your competition. They're not just going to put money in your hand and say, here you go. That's not how the world works. So, yes, if you feel like there's two versions of you, there is. And becoming reborn is going to be one of the best things that you can do. And actually, you can become reborn many times. That's like why people, for example, in self-improvement, they're always improving. They're always finding new ways to improve, new things to build off of. Because if you just get to one level, there's always another mountain. You climb a mountain and you're going up and up and up, and you get to the top and you see in the distance, there's always going to be another mountain to climb, a bigger mountain. So conquer the mountain that you're on right now, get to the top, and once you get there and you see the view, you'll know that you have the ability to climb mountains, right? And so the next mountain that you see, you already have all the skills, you know how to get up the slopes, you know what to expect. I'm on another mountain right now, you know what I mean? I had to conquer myself, and now I'm conquering other areas of my life. But yeah, go ahead and like and subscribe to the channel. Please share my videos. And if you need help in your life, please leave a comment down below. I would love to, y'all could book a call with me. And yeah, we'll get your life back on track. This is Dark Warrior.